In this webisode, after getting rejected right around $12,000 twice in the last few weeks, Bitcoin is now heading towards the bottom of this ascending triangle. Could Bitcoin actually be headed down to fill this CME gap right under $10,000, or is it not even going to go that low? Very often in symmetrical triangle breakouts, after an initial breakout, we come back down and get a retest before continuing to go higher. And is our current market cycle very similar to the early main bull phase of late 2016? Willy Woo says yes. And after failing to hold support along this ascending channel, we've actually come down to our very first line on this ascending channel and gotten a bounce so far right in this 11.5K region. We'll show you two potential pullback areas for Bitcoin. As we've been mentioning for a while now, guys, this is absolutely normal to see even in a bullish uptrend. Wow, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to an extremely Tuesday webisode here for Bitcoin. After weeks of putting in green weekly candles, are we finally now starting to see somewhat of a pullback? It is still way too early to tell in my opinion, but there's definitely some interesting stuff to be taking a look at on these charts. Guys, this is something we see all the time in bull markets, and even in the most bullish markets, we still get red weekly candles. Huge, no concern here, and in fact, if we hit some of these key targets, two specifically that we're going to be talking about in this webisode, you know that I'm going to be accumulating more Bitcoin, and hopefully the alts follow and we get some very cheap, delicious alts as well. Wow, guys, so if you're new to the channel, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on the ding so you can get notified when we upload, and as well, make sure to drop your comment to win this ledger. And we're still doing 15% off T4 when you put in the code millions at checkout. Guys, huge. So we obviously have some downside targets to talk about today because Bitcoin is in somewhat of a pullback. In fact, gold is down as well today. Bitcoin and gold have been a little bit correlated specifically over the past few weeks, and as well, they're both pulling back right now. This could be one of the juiciest times to accumulate some really cheap Bitcoin and alt before we head up for the rest of this year and 2021. But guys, I want to start off with this article on Cointelegraph by William Suberg. Bitcoin price is in early main bull phase circa Q4 2016, says Willy Woo. Q4 2016 is the name of the game under current conditions, Woo says, but institutional investor presence makes this year very different. And this is one of the key fundamental reasons that this bull cycle is going to be one of the most explosive, most adoptive, most transformative cycles that we've ever seen in any market. So it says here, despite failing to flip $12,000 as support because we got rejected off there, Bitcoin remains firmly bullish. Both sentiment and technical fundamental based evidence suggests one of the themes is the legitimization of Bitcoin for large institutional funds, and also the easy accessibility to buy crypto for the masses with the likes of Square Cash, PayPal, and not to mention the one he's working on with LVL, which is regulated banking integrated with crypto. And guys, I can say from my own experience, there are so many more on-ramps to getting crypto than there was back in 2017 and 2018. In fact, so many of the main places that you could only actually get a few cryptocurrencies, one of the main being obviously Bitcoin. But nowadays, basically, you can trade so many different coins with other pairings as opposed to just Bitcoin, guys. Back in 2017 and 2018, pretty much you needed to have Bitcoin to get basically everything else. Nowadays, that is not the case. And again, this is just going to make it so much easier for new people and everyone in general getting into the market and getting out of the market as well as this thing picks up. He says, I think this cycle, Bitcoin gets to prove itself as a legit macro asset bucket for traditional investors, while the cycle after this overtakes gold to be the significant digital SOV for a digital age, which currently gold is slightly under $10 trillion in market cap. The prognosis chimes with conclusions made by macro investor Dan Tapiro, who predicted that Bitcoin would seal dramatic gains of 5 to 10 times its current value during this bull cycle. Tremendous long-term log chart of Bitcoin projects 5 to 10x on this run, and guys, much higher returns on a lot of these alts, as you've already seen over the past few months. Just breaking up now should last a few years, as 2.5-year consolidation is a fantastic base for the catapult up. So basically what he's referring to there is just this massive symmetrical triangle that we've been consolidating in for the last 2.5 years. He's saying this serves as an insane base for massive gains to catapult us up. And that's exactly what I believe as well. It's just common sense, I think. The last 2.5 years of consolidation is going to absolutely springboard us up. But that doesn't mean there isn't going to be pullbacks. So guys, with that being said, let's jump into this 4-hour chart. You can see currently we're trading right below the support of this ascending triangle. You can see basically holding above 11.46 or roughly 11.5 would keep us within this trend. you can see we had two clear rejections off of 12K back on August 2nd, and then as well back just yesterday, August 10th. And then we had this sloping area of resistance that once we broke out of it, we came back to try and hold support. We got about 3-4 hour candles that were right there trying to find support, and then we fell below that. And that also lines up with this ascending channel where you can see we were trying to hold this right around 11.7, the same as this ascending triangle. And then when we failed there, you can see a much bigger drop. But you can see where we got our first bounce so far is actually on this line, the actually right around 11.4 right here. So the first short-term target we want to hold above is just get some 4-hour candle closes above 11.5 basically. 11.45 is a more specific price. But overall, if that doesn't hold, we have to pivot to this daily chart where ultimately we want to stay above this 7-year support line, this blue line, which currently, if we fell down here, would be right around 10.5, where we just got a 10.5K bounce back on August 2nd as well. When we got that first rejection off of 12K, we came down to 10.5, and then we got a very strong bounce. And again, we could be seeing something very similar to that. So far, we are on the lower side of this break. But what I've been noticing as well is that usually around noon to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when so many of these moves have been happening. I don't know if you've been paying attention to this, but most of the big moves we've been seeing in a very short amount of time, usually at the same time each day, usually around noon to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is also like 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. in California and on the West Coast. But ultimately, that's what we want to look for. We want to see if we hold here. If not, we're going to be looking to this target of 10.5, and then we're going to be looking at 10K because it's a huge psychological number. And guys, if we zoom out, you can see this VPVR is actually showing us a lot as well. A lot of support right around 10.5, right about here. We also have a lot of support right around the 10K area. That's actually where most of it is accumulated, right around this. Here is 10K exactly. Going all the way down to about 9.2 is the heaviest area of support. And as well, we have our 21-day moving average right at about 11K. And then right at about 10K, we have our 50-day moving average. Guys, so we have so much support below us. We have not actually come down and tested any of this for support since breaking up. We had a very slight touch, as we said on August 2nd, with an immediate bounce. But we haven't actually had much of a downturn in the past few weeks. It's basically just been up and up and up. And specifically with alts, they've been popping off. So a pullback here is not unexpected or unwelcome, honestly. This is actually perfectly normal. And we have so many key areas below us that look very, very good and very strong for support. So again, I'm not concerned at all. These represent some very good opportunities to accumulate most likely. And guys, if we switch to the CME chart, you can see we just filled that very small gap that we had here. But a lot of people have still been talking about this gap down here right under 10,000 US dollars, actually from about 9,600 to 9,900, which again, these gaps don't have to fill, but if we would swing substantially to the downside, definitely look for something like this to fill. Worst case, might even see a wick down to this, but I really don't expect anything more than that if we would go that low. And as well on this weekly chart, we have the 21-week and 50-week right at the very top of this triangle. So if we would get a retest where we come back to test this 2.5-year symmetrical triangle, and if we hold that, again, that'll give us a ton of momentum, exactly what Willy Woo was mentioning in that article we just highlighted. But again, this is exactly where the top of this would be, a confirmation, a retest. And again, that lines up with the 21-week moving average, which I think is one of the strongest moving averages in general. So again, we have a lot of support below us. Again, this represents potentially one of the best times to accumulate Bitcoin and altcoins over the next 2 years. So guys, wow, if you are interested, make sure to leave that comment below for the ledger. And if you are interested in trading these moves, definitely use our links below where you can sign up, get some of the highest bonuses on YouTube. And as well, if you're interested in learning charting, trading, following along with my portfolio and alts that I'm looking at and everything like that, make sure to sign up for T4, 15% off with the code MILLIONS.